Europe, land of ancient civilizations, land of majestic landscapes, land of culture and beauty. Every year, 700 million people traverse this land. They seek something, but what? Some say they come for history, others for art, others still for cuisine. But the truth runs much deeper. In this continent, there exist places that defy all logic. Places where time seems to stand still and where ancient traditions endure to this day. Europe is not merely a collection of monuments and museums. Rather, it is a living tapestry of cultures, where each nation tells its own story in a unique and distinct way. Medieval villages, Gothic cathedrals, enchanted forests, and idyllic lakes. This continent has given birth to modern civilization and dominates global tourism. And today we take you on a journey to discover its most extraordinary places, which we believe should be visited this year. Welcome to Europe. Let's begin our journey in France, where one of Europe's most fascinating valleys awaits to be explored. Loire Valley, France. A journey through this valley reveals a world of castles emerging from the morning mist. Towers rise above the treetops, while Renaissance gardens stretch to the horizon. The Loire River flows between these fortresses, which have witnessed battles and love stories that have shaped France. Medieval villages hide among vineyards, and their cobblestone streets lead to squares where time seems to have frozen. Local markets transform these spaces into theaters of daily life, where the scent of freshly baked bread mingles with local traditions. Chambord Castle dominates the landscape with its 426 rooms, defying architectural logic. Chenonceau reflects in the waters of the river Cher, while Amboise guards the secrets of Leonardo da Vinci, whose spirit still lingers in its corridors. Valandry, meanwhile, reveals gardens that are true works of art, presenting intricate geometric designs. September is undoubtedly the ideal time to explore this region, with vines turning gold and purple, while the grape harvest transforms every village into a festival of colors and traditions. The mild temperature, moreover, allows for long explorations of the castles and surrounding villages. Andalusia, Spain. Andalusia tells the story of diverse, intertwined cultures through 6 cities, each with a distinctive voice in the chorus of Spanish history. In Seville, the real Alcazar reveals secret passages and courtyards, where Moorish architecture blends with Christian design. The Giralda stands as the city's focal point. Plaza de España enchants with its architecture and grandeur, while the Santa Cruz Quarter hides secrets in every corner of its streets. Granada, meanwhile, guards the Alhambra, a palace city where water perfectly integrates with architecture. The Generalife offers hanging gardens that defy gravity, while the Albaycin Quarter preserves the essence of Moorish life among its traditional houses called Carmenes. Cordoba, continuing, conceals a labyrinth of alleys that lead to the Mesquita. The Jewish Quarter reveals courtyards and synagogues at the heart of Jewish culture, while the Roman Bridge reflects in the Guadalquivir. Malaga pulses to the rhythm of the sea, and its museums preserve Picasso's legacy. The Gibralfaro Castle dominates the city, offering panoramas that stretch to Africa. Ronda defies gravity, suspended over a ravine that divides the old city from the new. The new bridge unites these two worlds, while stone streets create a peaceful and immersive atmosphere. Marbella, finally, blends the charm of a fishing village with contemporary luxury. Its historic center, which is Plaza de los Naranjos, features white walls and flowered balconies, with Sierra Blanca forming the backdrop to this Mediterranean stage. May seems the perfect time to discover Andalusia, with flowering patios exploding in a festival of colors, while temperatures allow for exploring the cities without the intense summer heat. Italian islands. When speaking of Italian islands, we naturally refer to Sicily and Sardinia. Let's start with Sicily, where Mount Etna dominates the eastern horizon, being Europe's highest active volcano, still releasing clouds of steam today. Along the north coast, we find the famous village of Cefalù, where houses climb the rock up to the Norman Cathedral. The Aeolian Islands, meanwhile, emerge from the sea, often laden with lava. Stromboli, for example, erupts every 20 minutes, creating light shows in the night. Moreover, at Agrigento we find the Valley of Temples, while in Taormina there's the Greek theater overlooking the sea. Sardinia is a must for lovers of sea and nature, hiding idyllic beaches among pink granite rocks. The Maddalena Archipelago offers a maze of islands and channels, while the Emerald Coast is renowned for luxury and some of the clearest waters in Europe. Not to be missed are also the beaches of Cala Luna and Cala Goloritse, true natural paradises, accessible only by sea or through scenic paths, where the intense blue of the sea merges with pure white limestone walls. May, June, and September transform these islands into true paradises, with the sea maintaining perfect temperatures for swimming, while the land offers colors and fragrances of the Mediterranean scrub in bloom. Lofoten Islands, Norway. The boundary between land and sea dissolves in the Lofoten Islands. This archipelago emerges from the Arctic Ocean like an idyllic landscape. Fishing villages with their red houses on stilts dot the coast. The sun here has no rules. In summer, it never sets, creating endless days, while in winter it disappears below the horizon, giving way to the northern lights. Fishermen pursue cod migrating in frigid waters, moving through many mountains that plunge directly into the sea. In protected bays, whales rest during their migration, and sea eagles soar over fjords. The ideal season for exploring Lofoten shifts with your interests. Summer days welcome hikers to endless trails, while winter transforms the islands into a photographer's dream under blankets of snow. Swiss Alps. A natural barrier touching the sky, with the addition of the Matterhorn rising in solitude. In this landscape of rare beauty, we find Zermatt, a village that lives without cars, where only the sound of footsteps in the snow breaks the silence. The Red Bernina train climbs through landscapes that defy gravity, connecting isolated valleys through tunnels and viaducts. Grindelwald hides beneath the Eiger, its north face having challenged generations of mountaineers. Lakes Lucerne and Thun, meanwhile, reflect the mountains like mirrors, while steamboats transport travelers between medieval villages. The castle of Aschidjon finally emerges from the waters of Lake Geneva, while Appenzell preserves centuries-old traditions among small houses and cow pastures. In Switzerland, July and August offer long days and mild climate. Snow retreats and mountain railways operate at full capacity, opening access to impossible views. Bavaria, Germany. Bavaria reveals a realm of castles hidden among the mountains. Neuschwanstein is undoubtedly the most well-known place in this area, and it was King Ludwig II who created this stone giant that inspired Walt Disney. Munich, meanwhile, is known for the Glockenspiel in Marienplatz, a clock with mechanical figures that dance to the toll of bells. The residence hides treasures accumulated over 700 years of Wittelsbach reign, while the Deutsches Museum preserves machines that have changed the course of history. In a remote valley, we find Linderhof Castle, while the Romantic Road crosses some of the nation's most beautiful medieval villages. Rothenburg ob der Tauber preserves its intact walls, while Dinkelsbühl and Nördlingen offer squares where merchants have met for centuries. September is undoubtedly the ideal month to visit this region, with Oktoberfest transforming Munich and the sky taking on autumn colors. Hallstatt, Austria. It's a true three-dimensional postcard. The wooden and stone houses climb up the mountain, creating a cascade of roofs that mirrors in the waters of the namesake lake. The Lutheran church's bell tower stands against the sky, becoming the focal point that has made this city Austria's most photographed subject. The historic center develops along a single narrow alley, with fishermen's and miners' houses, featuring flowered balconies that jut out over the water. Boats cross the lake every hour, offering ever-new perspectives of the village. In the evening, house lights reflect in the water, creating a spectacle that has inspired artists for generations. May brings spring to these mountains, with tourists not yet crowding the streets, allowing for calm exploration of the village. Croatian islands. When we speak of Croatian islands, we mainly refer to Hvar and Korčula. Hvar is like an archive of maritime history, with Venetian walls protecting the harbor from the sea's fury. The Spanish fortress dominates the city from above, while vineyards climb the terraced slopes. Hidden bays reveal Roman ruins, but there are also Benedictine monasteries preserving ancient manuscripts. Korčula, meanwhile, has walls shaped like a fishbone. St. Mark's Cathedral soars among stone houses, while streets are designed to protect inhabitants from the winter bura wind. Among the alleys hides Marco Polo's birthplace, and traditional Moresca dances echo in the squares. July is the perfect period to explore these islands, with the maestral wind cooling the days and the sea reaching ideal temperatures. Greek islands. A visit to Europe wouldn't be complete without a tour of the Greek islands, primarily the Cyclades and Ionian Islands. Santorini is witness to a volcanic apocalypse, with white and blue houses clinging to the caldera walls, where the sea bathes the crater of a volcano that changed Mediterranean history. Akrotiri preserves a Minoan city buried by ash, frozen in time like Pompeii. Mykonos, meanwhile, has windmills dominating the port, Little Venice jutting over the water, and countless bars and beach clubs partying until dawn. Corfu, moreover, offers some of the most beautiful beaches and waters in all of Greece. Crete, finally, hides the Minotaur's Labyrinth, the Samaria Gorge, and Elefonices beaches with pink sand. September transforms these islands into true paradises. Summer crowds diminish, the sea retains summer's warmth, while the wind calms, allowing for peaceful navigation between islands. Algarve Coast, Portugal. The Algarve reveals itself through stone arches carved by the ocean. Ponta da Piedade cuts into the Atlantic, with rock formations and sea caves that open in the rock walls, accessible only by sea. Lagos preserves its Moorish period walls, and the port fills with fishing boats returning at dawn. Sagres guards the fort, which juts over the ocean from a promontory that defies the waves. Tides reveal and hide beaches that nestle among the rocks. May and September offer the ideal climate for exploring this coast, with the ocean calming, allowing access to sea caves, and pleasant temperatures for excursions. Amalfi Coast, Italy. The Amalfi Coast follows State Road 163, a scenic route winding through cliffs, bays, and villages overlooking the sea. Positano clings to the mountain with houses that seem to defy gravity. Stairs replace streets, creating a vertical labyrinth that leads from the sea up to the hilltop vineyards. Amalfi, meanwhile, hides its maritime republic past behind the cathedral's facade, while its narrow alleys climb among lemon groves and ancient noble palaces. Ravello rises above the clouds. Villa Ruffolo and Villa Cimbrone offer terraces suspended over the void, and the cathedral blends Eastern and Western styles. The Path of the Gods crosses the coast between sky and sea, revealing idyllic panoramas and lemon groves climbing terraced slopes, supported by dry stone walls built centuries ago. April and October are ideal for visiting this place. The climate allows for long walks while tourists decrease, leaving space to explore the alleys and savor the local rhythm of life. Barcelona, Spain. When thinking of Spain, the sea, and nightlife, one cannot help but think of Barcelona, a city that blends history and modernity. La Barceloneta offers a perfect beach for morning relaxation, where restaurants still serve fresh fish from local fishermen. La Rambla, meanwhile, runs through the city center, where century-old plane trees provide shade for street artists and pedestrians. Then there's the Sagrada Familia, still unfinished, which has been reaching toward the sky for more than a century, with its towers featuring unique architecture unlike anywhere else in the world. The Boqueria market is an explosion of life. Under its iron vaults, stalls showcase the richness of Catalan gastronomy, with fruits, jamón ibérico, and fresh fish. The Gothic quarter, with its alleys and squares, preserves the medieval soul of the city. Here, merchants and sailors once lived. There are also several houses designed by Gaudí, which are true works of art, such as Casa Batlló and Casa Milà. And then there's Park Güell, perched on a hill, offering a view of the city and the sea. Its mosaic-covered benches and the structures within create a space where nature and art meet. But what's the ideal time to visit this city? Definitely from April to June, or from September to October, when the weather's perfect for exploring the city. Norwegian fjords. The fjords cut into the Norwegian coast like scars left by glaciers that shaped this territory. Geiranger Fjord penetrates inland for 15 kilometers, with the Seven Sisters waterfalls plunging from vertical walls. Narøy Fjord, meanwhile, narrows between rock walls that rise 1,700 meters, and ships look like ants in this marine canyon. Villages cling to every patch of land, reachable only by sea or through paths carved into rock. Finally, there is Sognefjord, the king of fjords, extending 204 kilometers inland. And here we also find Viking wooden churches that resist time. July offers 20 hours of daylight to explore these landscapes, and the midnight sun transforms the sky into a spectacle of colors reflected in calm waters. Isle of Skye, Scotland. Skye emerges from the Scottish Sea as a blend of rock and water. The Old Man of Storr stands solitary on the coast, a basalt pinnacle that defies gravity. The Quiraing reveals a lunar landscape created by ancient landslides, where the Earth continues to move beneath tourists' feet. The fairy pools, meanwhile, descend from the Black Quillins in a series of waterfalls and natural pools, while Dunvegan Castle guards the fairy flag, a legendary banner for this nation. Then there's Neist Point, a lighthouse that extends into the ocean withstanding storms, while the cliffs host colonies of puffins. May brings longer days and less rain. The heather blooms, and clouds create plays of light that transform the landscape. Transylvania, Romania. In the heart of the Carpathians, Transylvania preserves a world forgotten by time. Bran Castle emerges from the forest, and its towers project against the sky. Dracula never inhabited these walls, but vampire legends permeate every stone of the fortress. The village of Viscri preserves houses built by Saxons in the 12th century, and the fortified church dominates the village, with walls that have protected inhabitants from invasions for centuries. Sigashora keeps the medieval period alive in its citadel. The clock tower has been marking time for 700 years, and in the house at 6 Kositora Street, Vlad the Impaler, the prince who inspired the very myth of Dracula, was born. Finally, the Rashnov fortress dominates the valley from a hilltop, with a 143-meter well carved into solid rock, telling the story of 2 Turkish prisoners who took 17 years to complete it. October transforms Transylvania into a realm of mists and colors. Leaves create a carpet in the woods, while temperatures allow for long explorations of villages and castles. Faroe Islands, Denmark. The Atlantic Ocean has sculpted these islands for millions of years, creating vertical walls that plunge into the sea. Sheep graze on grass-covered fields, while the village of Saxon hides in a valley that was once a fjord. The tide transforms the landscape twice daily, revealing and hiding ancient pasts. Lake Servaxvatn appears to float above the ocean, but it's just an optical illusion created by the particular formation of the cliff. Moreover, the Mulafossur waterfall plunges directly into the ocean, while villages like Gassadalur, accessible only through tunnels carved into the mountain, count just a few dozen inhabitants. June brings the midnight sun and days stretch to 20 hours, providing a light that creates the best time to visit these lands. Cappadocia, Turkey. Cappadocia appears like a landscape from another planet. Time and elements have sculpted the volcanic rock, creating thousands of fairy chimneys. These rock formations hide underground cities, extending 8 levels below the surface, which were refugees for entire populations during invasions. The city of Göreme has churches carved into rock with Byzantine frescoes covering the walls, their colors preserved for centuries by darkness. Uçhisar, meanwhile, dominates the region with its natural fortress and features numerous houses that merge with the stone. At dawn, hundreds of hot air balloons rise into Cappadocia's sky, revealing a lunar landscape of valleys and canyons. September brings the best temperatures here, with clear skies and no rain, allowing for exploring the valleys on foot and observing the stars. Lake Como, Italy. Lake Como winds between northern Italy's mountains like an inverted Y, with historic villas mirroring in its waters. Villa Balbianello emerges on a promontory, its loggias opening to the lake from every angle, and terraced gardens descending to the water. Bellagio rises at the point where the lake divides into 2 branches. Stone streets climb toward the promontory's peak, where Villa Cerbaloni's gardens preserve plants from every continent. The village of Varenna, meanwhile, maintains its character as a fishing village, with houses facing the lake. The funicular climbs to 700 meters, revealing panoramas stretching to the Alps. April and May transform the lake into a theater of colors, with gardens bursting into bloom, while temperatures allow for walks along paths connecting the villages. Canary Islands, Spain. Off the African coast, the Canaries emerge from the Atlantic, like fragments of a primordial world. Lanzarote shows craters and lava fields, where life finds its way between volcanic rocks. Timanfaya National Park reveals a Martian landscape, while the mountains of fire have shaped the island with their eruptions. Tenerife, meanwhile, rises from the sea with Mount Tide, Spain's highest volcano. Night transforms the mountain into a natural observatory, while La Orotava preserves botanical gardens where endemic species have survived for millions of years. Gran Canaria hides sand dunes that seem transported from the Sahara, offering magnificent landscapes for hiking and trekking. Continuing, La Gomera preserves a prehistoric forest in Garajonay National Park, and its inhabitants still practice an ancient whistled language that crosses valleys. Fuerteventura, finally, reveals beaches extending for kilometers, and its name derives from the constant wind that shapes its landscape. March and April certainly offer the perfect climate to explore these islands, with the wind calming down and subtropical temperatures allowing for swimming in ocean waters. Iceland. In the north of the Atlantic Ocean, right where two great plates of Earth meet, an enormous natural laboratory emerges, with ice and volcanoes in the background. Speaking of ice, Vatnajökull is Europe's largest glacier, dominating the island's panorama. Beneath its icy surface, active volcanoes create incredible ice caves that transform each summer, while the frigid water of rivers has carved deep canyons. The capital, Reykjavik, is a unique city, harnessing Earth's natural heat. Its houses are heated by hot water that naturally springs from underground, and often you can see the steam from thermal pools mixing with the northern lights in the sky. Lake Mavaten, meanwhile, offers a scenario reminiscent of the lunar surface. Solidified lava has created strange shapes, and sulfur-scented vapors emerge from the ground. The fjords in the western part of the island are like enormous inlets that penetrate the coast. On their cliffs live millions of puffins, while in the deep waters swim orcas. July offers the midnight sun in temperatures that allow for exploring the island. The interior roads open, giving access to the highlands where the Vikings' feared spirits dwelled. Lake Ohrid, North Macedonia. Lake Ohrid preserves over 200 endemic species from more than 1 million years ago. Troutfish swim in the same waters where their ancestors moved during the Ice Age. The city of Ohrid climbs the hill with 365 churches, one for each day of the year, while St. Canaio juts out on a promontory with domes reflecting in the lake. Fishing villages preserve ancient techniques, and life still revolves around net fishing. June is the perfect month to visit the area, with the Ohrid Festival resonating with classical music and squares filling with art and culture. Malta. This archipelago emerges from the Mediterranean, laden with history, directly carved into limestone. Valletta, the capital, contains Knights of Malta palaces on every street. The Co-Cathedral hides artworks under gold-decorated vaults, while Forts St. Elmo and St. Angelo protect the harbor, as they did during the Ottoman siege of 1565. In Medina, called the Silent City, reveals alleys where time stayed in the medieval period. Gozo, moreover, guards the Gantija Temple, older than the pyramids. April and May transform the archipelago into a garden, with fields covering themselves in wildflowers, while the sea warms enough to explore marine caves. Rhine Valley, Germany. The Rhine has cut through German territory for millennia, and the river flows between numerous castles that emerge from morning mist, ready to tell centuries of stories and legends. Marksburg stands intact since 1117, the only Rhine fortress that never suffered destruction. The Lorelei, a 132-meter rock, juts out at the river's narrowest point. Pfalzgrafenstein Castle, meanwhile, rises on an island in the middle of the river, an ancient customs house used to collect tolls. Continuing, Bacharach preserves 15th century half-timbered houses and also maintains Werner's Chapel, which was never completed. Finally, we find Oberwessel, which keeps its medieval walls intact with 16 watchtowers. September transforms the valley into a mosaic of colors. Vineyards on the slopes turn golden, while mild climate allows for river cruises and walks between villages. Albanian coast. A hidden paradise where mountains plunge into clear sea. The Albanian coast is a collection of pristine beaches and coves hidden between majestic cliffs and accessible only by sea. The turquoise waters of Samil embrace small islands emerging from the sea, creating a small tropical paradise where the water is crystal clear and often calm. At Butrint, the UNESCO site has 2,500 years of history, with the Greek theater reflecting in the lagoon's calm waters, while ancient mosaics and Venetian walls meet. The village of Himara, meanwhile, sits on the mountain, characterized by narrow alleys where village elders still speak an ancient dialect. June reveals this coast's best face, with the sea warming just right for swimming, while mountains offer coolness and paths to explore untouched national parks. Provence, France. Imagine walking through endless lavender fields, coloring the landscape purple. This is Provence's magic, where every corner seems painted by an artist. Here, hidden among flowers, lies the ancient Senanque Abbey, where monks still keep 8th century-old traditions alive today. Climbing the hills, there's also Les Baux de Provence, a village perched on rock that seems to emerge from a medieval fairy tale. Its ancient castle will surely bring to mind tales of knights. Here one must visit Roussillon, a unique village where everything is colored red. Houses, streets, and rocks are tinted in different shades thanks to ochre, a mineral that has made this place truly special. Nearby, the village of Gordes climbs the hill with spiral streets, just as they were created hundreds of years ago. The best time to visit these places? July, when lavender blooms and wind carries summer Provence's scents, giving perfect light to every view, just like in Impressionist paintings. Valdorcia and Florence, Italy. Valdorcia is a true Renaissance painting. White roads wind between hills where cypress trees mark boundaries. The Vita Chapel stands solitary, a reference point for many pilgrims since medieval times. Among the most beautiful villages, Pienza emerges from the valley like an ideal city experiment. Palazzo Piccolomini overlooks Valdorcia through a loggia that frames the landscape, while streets carry names of love and fortune, such as Love Street, Kiss Street, Fortune Street. Florence, meanwhile, preserves Renaissance genius in every street and palace. The Ponte Vecchio crosses the Arno, while Brunelleschi's dome rises in the sky, defying physics laws. May transforms Valdorcia into a spectacle of colors, with poppies dotting wheat fields, while temperatures allow long walks between art and nature. Bruges, Belgium. Bruges emerges from Flanders mists, with characteristic canals interweaving through the historic center, reflecting medieval houses unchanged for 500 years. Boats pass under stone bridges, where once Hanseatic League merchant ships sailed. The Belfort rises over the market square, its tower housing a carillon of 47 bells that play medieval melodies. The stone streets of the historic center wind through ancient red brick buildings, while hidden alleys reveal quiet courtyards and Gothic facades. December transforms Bruges into a winter realm. Christmas markets illuminate the squares, while the scent of chocolate wafts from artisan workshops. Tallinn, Estonia. Tallinn preserves Northern Europe's most complete medieval walls. The old city divides into upper and lower towns, connected by secret passages carved into limestone. The Town Hall Square hosts Europe's oldest pharmacy, operating since 1422, while St. Olaf's Church conceals a tower that in 1500 was the world's tallest building. The Kalamaja Quarter reveals 19th century wooden houses transformed into cultural centers. Finally, Tumpi Castle walls protect the Estonian parliament, while bastions offer viewpoints called balconies. August brings white nights to the city, with the sun setting for just a few hours, while medieval music festivals fill streets with ancient melodies. Prague, Czech Republic. Prague is a stone book written across 5 centuries of history. The castle dominates the city from the hill, the world's largest complex with its adjoining courtyards and gardens. Another important monument is St. Vitus Cathedral, which hides the Bohemian crown in a room locked with 7 keys. Charles Bridge, meanwhile, crosses the Vltava on 16 arches. Saint statues have watched over passers-by since 1357, witnessing processions, battles, and revolutions. The astronomical clock in Old Town Square has marked time since 1410, with mechanical figures dancing every hour. Finally, the Jewish Quarter preserves 6 synagogues, while Golden Lane hosts tiny houses where alchemists sought to turn lead into gold. In May, music fills churches and palaces with the Spring Festival, while gardens awaken after winter hibernation. Edinburgh, Scotland. Edinburgh divides into 2 souls, the medieval Old Town and Georgian New Town. The castle juts from volcanic rock, guardian of the Stone of Destiny on which Scottish kings were crowned. Its underground conceals a buried city where people lived in the 17th century. The Royal Mile descends from the castle, and along the way lies St. Giles's Cathedral, a historic site linked to Scotland's knightly order. Arthur's Seat, an extinct volcano, dominates the city, while Victoria Street, with its colorful shops and curved facades, is considered one of Scotland's most picturesque streets. August transforms Edinburgh into the world's largest art festival, its streets filling with artists and performers, while fireworks illuminate the castle every evening. Krakow, Poland. Krakow preserves Poland's medieval soul. Wawel Castle rises on the hill as the center of Polish power, while the cathedral guards the king's tombs. The market square, meanwhile, is Europe's largest medieval square, where merchant stalls alternate with historic cafes and street musicians. St. Mary's Church soars with towers of different heights, and the Jewish quarter of Kazimierz pulses with life. Here, synagogues alternate with cafes serving traditional Polish dumplings. May brings the Jewish Culture Festival, with klezmer music filling the streets and courtyards transforming into art galleries. Kotor, Montenegro. Kotor hides at the end of a fjord in the Bay of Kotor. Venetian walls climb the mountain for 4 kilometers, with 1,350 steps leading to St. John's Fortress. The Old Town reveals a labyrinth of squares and alleys, with St. Tryphon's Cathedral and the Maritime Museum as must-visit sites. Cats reign supreme in the streets, while Orthodox and Catholic churches alternate in a confined space, witnessing the coexistence of different cultures. September typically brings mild weather and less crowded cruises, while mountains protect the bay from winds, creating perfect conditions to explore this Mediterranean corner. Rome, Italy. A 3,000-year-old city called the Eternal City. Rome preserves traces of every historical epoch, thanks to the Roman Empire that ruled here for 5 centuries. The Colosseum rises in the city's heart. The amphitheater hosted 50,000 spectators, and its stones now show signs of time. The Roman Forum, meanwhile, occupies a valley between 7 hills, with ancient temples and marble columns, recalling its ancient history. And then there's Piazza Navona, maintaining the shape of the Roman Stadium, and the Trevi Fountain, releasing 2.8 million cubic feet of water daily and receiving about $3,300 in coins from tourists. Obviously, the proceeds go to charity. Moving on, even Vatican City unfolds at the heart of Rome. Here, St. Peter's Basilica can hold up to 60,000 worshippers, while the Sistine Chapel safeguards Michelangelo's priceless frescoes. Roman restaurants occupy every alley of the center, with typical kitchens preparing pasta alla carbonara or cacio e pepe. Vienna, Austria. Through the Danube's mists emerges a city where music dictates the rhythm of daily life. Vienna isn't told, it's listened to. Violin sounds escape from music academy windows, while in historic cafes, the aroma of strudel mingles with modern philosophers' discussions. Schönbrunn Palace guards imperial secrets, while St. Stephen's Cathedral soars in the heart of the city with its colorful tiled roof. The city streets are both beautiful and imposing, and the historic squares are lively and filled with shops, where one can browse or take a horse-drawn carriage ride. Winter from December to February transforms Vienna into a magical stage. Christmas markets illuminate squares, snow blankets palaces, and ballrooms fill for the waltz. During this season, the city reveals its true nature as an imperial capital. Copenhagen, Denmark. The Danish capital is rich with canals that don't separate, but unite. These cross the city like veins, bringing life to every corner. Bicycles outnumber cars, creating an urban characteristic. In Nyhavn harbor stand sailors' houses, and Hans Christian Andersen wrote his fairy tales in these streets, where today fishermen sell fresh fish directly from boats. The Tivoli Gardens must certainly be visited. But even while walking, it's easy to be enchanted by furniture workshops and ceramic shops. From May to September, Copenhagen reveals its splendor. The sun illuminates streets until late evening, outdoor cafes fill with life, and gardens explode with colors. Porto, Portugal. Between the banks of the Douro River lies a city that instantly captures the hearts of its visitors. The scent of the sea mingles with that of wine resting in the city's cellars, and fishing boats depart at dawn among flocks of seagulls. Vila Nova de Gaia's cellars guard Porto wine, while houses climb the hills, creating a mosaic of red roofs. São Bento Station must be visited for its rich azulejos, the characteristic Portuguese tiles, while in the taverns of the Ribeira Quarter, codfish reign supreme. From September to October, the city offers its best face, with weather permitting long explorations and harvest filling the streets with celebration. Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm is actually an archipelago. Every canal has a different story, every bridge unites one century to the next. Viking ships rest in museums, while modern ferries weave a network of connections between the islands themselves. In the Södermalm Quarter, meanwhile, old warehouses transform into spaces where Scandinavian design sets new rules. Moreover, the stone-paved streets of Gamla Stan, the medieval heart of the city, wind between ochre and amber-colored buildings, leading to charming squares. In summer, between June and August, the sun barely sets, gifting endless days. Parks fill with life, outdoor cafes thrive, and the archipelago invites exploration. Ghent, Belgium. In the heart of Flanders, Ghent holds a secret. During medieval times, it was larger than Paris and London. The Count's castle stands on water, and within its walls, Europe's largest collection of torture instruments tells stories that few know. Ghent's canals form a network of waterways right in the medieval heart of the city. 3 rivers meet here, creating historic navigable routes where old merchant houses reflect in the water. Their facades preserve the typical Flemish style, while 3 medieval towers dominate these waterways: St. Bavo's Cathedral, St. Nicholas Church, and the Belfry. The best time to visit Ghent is September, when temperatures are mild and the city hosts Ode Gan, a music festival that transforms the canals into floating stages. Budapest, Hungary. A city divided by a river, but united by bridges. The Danube flows undaunted, and at night bridge lights create constellations on the water, while boats connect Buda and Pest. Beneath the city, a labyrinth of caves conceals thermal lakes, with thermal baths being a common attraction here. Parliament rises on the riverbank like a cathedral of democracy, its spires touching the sky while foundations sink into the river. From March to May, Budapest presents itself at its optimal moment. Temperatures allow for exploring Buda's hills without strain, gardens awaken, and outdoor thermal baths become an unmissable experience. London, United Kingdom. The Thames is this city's heart, flowing since its creation. London never sleeps, rather it pulses through underground tunnels and century-old streets. Big Ben marks universal time, while ravens fly up and down the Tower of London. In Borough Market, world flavors meet under Victorian vaults, while pubs offer fish and chips, as well as 5 o'clock tea. Morning fog reveals a different city each day. St. James's Park squirrels govern their realm in the metropolis's heart, indifferent to surrounding royal palaces. From May to September, London opens to tourists. Parks become living rooms, festivals animate streets, and occasional rains don't stop the city's rhythm. Plitvice, Croatia. A system of interconnected water mirrors, where water reigns supreme. 16 lakes fed by waterfalls create a natural staircase descending through the forest. Limestone dissolved in water builds new barriers daily, while beneath the surface trout swim among submerged logs and aquatic vegetation. Wooden paths float on water, allowing visitors to walk across. Caves hidden behind waterfalls explain why bears and wolves still inhabit surrounding forests today. From April to June, or September to October, Plitvice reveals its essence. During these months, moderate temperatures and reduced rainfall allow for easy trail exploration, and waterfalls maintain their vigor. Salzburg, Austria. Among the Alps lies a city that breathes music. Mozart's melodies still resound among Baroque palaces, while cathedral bells mark time. Hohensalzburg Fortress towers over the city from above. In the markets, meanwhile, the aroma of strudel mingles with the notes of street musicians. Master chocolatiers' shops produce famous filled chocolates, while in monastery breweries, monks continue producing with ancient recipes. From June to August, Salzburg transforms with the Classical Music Festival. Mild climate allows for exploring medieval alleys and Baroque gardens, while outdoor concerts fill squares with melodies. Madrid and Toledo, Spain. Two cities united by an invisible thread of history. Madrid pulses in the present, while Toledo guards the past. The capital is characterized by markets awakening at dawn and squares that never sleep. The Prado Museum guards Spanish art secrets, while the royal palace tells stories of empire and power. Half an hour away, Toledo seems suspended in time. The three cultures, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish, have left their mark in every corner of the city. The cathedral hides treasures, while synagogues and mosques were places of coexistence. In Madrid's San Miguel Market, jamon and olives reign undisturbed, while in Toledo, marzipan keeps medieval recipes alive. Spring offers the perfect moment to visit both cities without summer heat's burden and with Holy Week processions filling streets with tradition. Dolomites, Italy. True stone giants set in northern Italy. The Trecime di Lavaredo Massifs mark the boundary between earth and sky, while high-altitude meadows hide turquoise lakes. In winter, snow transforms mountains into an ice realm. Skiers trace lines on snow, while in summer, trails reveal valleys hosting dozens of marmots. Mountain rocks turn pink at sunset, while mountain huts produce cheese and offer shelter among clouds. The Dolomites offer two ideal visiting seasons: summer for hiking and climbing, while winter for winter sports enthusiasts, with guaranteed snow and slopes for everyone. Paris, France. The city of love can never be missed when visiting Europe. The Eiffel Tower pierces clouds, while the Seine divides and unites the city as it has for centuries. Catacombs beneath the city hide stories of plague and revolution, while above, Notre Dame Cathedral has risen from ashes. The Louvre guards treasures of lost civilizations, and Montmartre maintains its village spirit. Boulangeries, moreover, fill streets with the aroma of freshly baked baguettes, a classic symbol of this city. From April to June, or September to October, gardens explode with life, and Paris reveals its essence. Lisbon, Portugal. The city of seven hills tells its story through fado, the traditional melancholic music. Singers' voices spread from Alfama's venues, while yellow trams labor up hills, carrying stories between neighborhoods. Jeronimos Monastery guards tombs of kings who dreamed of empires beyond the horizon, and nearby, Belém Tower attracts numerous tourists. The city's stairs and alleys create a vertical labyrinth with azulejos on walls and miraduros horizontally overlooking the city. Spring or autumn offer ideal climate for exploring Lisbon, with moderate temperatures allowing for tackling climbs without excessive heat. Amsterdam, Netherlands. A city born from and on water, with canals creating a web that holds together the urban fabric. Houses lean forward, and bicycles outnumber inhabitants, creating a constant flow of wheels and bells. Bridges let past boats carrying goods, tourists, and stories. And then there's the flower market, floating on water for a lifetime. The Rijksmuseum and Van Gogh Museum must be visited, but hidden courtyards also offer moments of pure admiration and wonder. Tulips bloom in spring, temperatures rise, and outdoor cafes fill with life. This is the best time to visit Amsterdam. Lake Bled, Slovenia. A lake emerges among the Julian Alps, with an island floating at its center, crowned by a church. There's also a castle dominating the scene from a cliff, witness to centuries of history. Traditional boats called pletne glide on water, carrying tourists to the island, while beneath the surface, the lake hides thermal springs that keep water temperate. From June to September, the lake reveals its character, with paths around the lake inviting walks, and nearby mountains taking on surreal colors. Cliffs of Moher, Ireland. The roar of the Atlantic crashes against a wall of rock, rising 214 meters above the sea. Here, on Ireland's wild west coast, the Cliffs of Moher have stood defiant against the ocean for 350 million years. Water has carved caves into their base. Wind has sculpted every layer of stone along their 8-kilometer stretch. And thousands of seabirds have made these towering cliffs their home. At the highest point, O'Brien's Tower, built in 1835, watches over the endless horizon. On clear days, the view reaches as far as the Aran Islands and the mountains of Connemara. Winding paths trace the cliff edge, while the rock shifts color with the passing hours, and legend even speaks of a sunken city hidden beneath the waves. The best time to visit? April to September. When the weather is calmer, the days are longer, and nature reveals itself in all its breathtaking beauty. Venice. In an Adriatic Sea lagoon rises a city built entirely on water. Venice develops across 118 islands and 177 canals that traverse the center. Bridges unite every corner of the city. The Rialto Bridge, for example, has crossed the Grand Canal since 1591, while the Bridge of Sighs connects the Ducal Palace to the prisons. St. Mark's Square occupies the city's lowest point. The Basilica displays 86,000 square feet of golden mosaics, and the bell tower reaches 322 feet in height. Gondolas have traversed the canals for centuries. Each weighs about 1,320 pounds. The Baccari, meanwhile, serve typical dishes from morning to evening. Spring or autumn offer the ideal moment to discover Venice. With mild temperatures and reduced tourist flow,